Before you close your eyes tonight, imagine a place where time simply stops, a place where the past, present, and future merge into a single silent moment. We are about to embark on a voyage into the deepest shadows of the universe, not to find fear, but to find the ultimate stillness. Welcome to the story of the black hole.
Before you close your eyes tonight, imagine a place where time simply stops, a place where the past, present, and future merge into a single silent moment. As we are about to embark on a voyage into the deepest shadows of the universe, not to find fear, but to find the ultimate stillness. So welcome to the story of the black hole. Now let your body sink deeper into the mattress, feeling the gentle pull of gravity, the very same force that holds the stars in the sky and keeps the planets in their graceful orbits. As you allow your breathing to become slow and rhythmic, inhaling the peace of the night and exhaling the worries of the day, letting them drift away like smoke into the cool evening air. Imagine yourself lying on a soft patch of grass in a vast open field somewhere in the heart of America, far away from the city lights, where the air is crisp and carries the scent of pine and damp earth. And above you stretches the infinite dome of the night sky, a velvet canvas so dark and so deep that it feels as though you could fall upwards into it. This is the ancient night, the same sky that looked down upon the dinosaurs, the same sky that guided the first explorers across the oceans, and the same sky that has captured the imagination of humanity since we first learned to look up and wonder. As you gaze into this velvet expanse, notice how the darkness is not empty, but rather it is a heavy and comforting blanket, wrapping the world in a protective slumber. And scattered across this darkness are the stars, millions of tiny diamonds dusting the heavens, each one a distant sun burning with a silent nuclear fire, sending its photons across the vast ocean of space to reach your eyes in this very moment. Consider the science of this light. For the starlight you see tonight started its journey years, centuries, or even millennia ago, traveling at the speed of light, racing through the vacuum of the cosmos, bypassing nebulae and dust clouds, just to land on your retina tonight. Meaning that when you look at the sky, you are not looking at the present, but you are looking back into the past, witnessing history written in light. The stars are not merely decorations, they are the ancestors of the galaxy. The heavy elements in your blood and the calcium in your bones were forged in the hearts of these distant giants, connecting you physically to the cosmos, making you a child of the stars and a traveler of the universe. As you continue to breathe deeply, feeling your chest rise and fall like the slow tides of a cosmic ocean, imagine the Earth beneath you, a giant sphere spinning silently on its axis, rotating at 1,000 miles an hour, yet you feel perfectly still, perfectly safe, held by the invisible hand of gravity.
In the ancient times, long before telescopes and satellites, our ancestors lay on the ground just like you are doing now, and they connected the dots of light to create stories, finding heroes and monsters in the constellations of Orion, Ursa Major, and Cassiopeia. But even then, there were those who looked not at the light, but at the spaces in between, the dark patches where no stars seemed to shine. It is human nature to be drawn to the light, but the true mysteries of the universe lie in the dark, in the silence, in the void that separates one star from another. And for thousands of years, this darkness was thought to be merely the absence of things, a nothingness that stretched on forever. But as you drift deeper into relaxation, let your mind wander into those dark spaces. Imagine the sheer scale of the distances between the stars, a silence so profound that it swallows all sound, a coldness so absolute that it preserves moments for eternity. This velvet canvas is the backdrop of our story, a stage set for the most powerful actors in the universe. And though the night seems static and unchanging, it is actually alive with forces we are only just beginning to understand. The Milky Way arches over you, a river of pale light consisting of billions of stars, and you realize that you are part of this grand structure, a tiny but conscious observer on a rocky planet drifting through the spiral arm of a galaxy that is spinning through the void. The darkness you see is not empty space, but a fabric, a weave of space and time combined, a texture that can be bent, stretched, and twisted by the sheer weight of matter, a concept that would one day change our entire understanding of reality. Think of the comfort of the dark, how it signals the body to rest, how it quiets the noise of the world, allowing the mind to travel where the body cannot. And in this state of deep relaxation, you are ready to explore the secrets hidden within that velvet curtain. The ancients believed the sky was a solid dome, but you know it is an endless ocean, and you are floating safely on its surface, looking down into the depths where strange and wonderful things exist. There is a serenity in realizing how small we are, how brief our time is compared to the lifespan of a star. And this realization does not bring sadness, but a sense of freedom, a release from the trivial burdens of daily life. For in the face of the cosmos, only peace remains. The air around you is still, the wind has settled, and the only sound is the rhythm of your own heart, beating in time with the pulses of the universe, a biological clock syncing with the celestial clockwork. As the earth turns, the stars slowly march across the sky.
A procession of silent guardians watching over your sleep, and you feel a sense of connection to the generations of astronomers and dreamers who have laid here before you, asking the same questions, feeling the same awe. The night sky is a time machine, and you are the pilot, drifting slowly back to an era where the universe was young and wild, before the lights of the cities washed out the subtle glow of the heavens, back to a time when the darkness was complete and the stars burned with a fierce intensity. Allow the feeling of the velvet night to wrap around you, soft and cool, heavy and soothing, pressing gently against your eyelids, inviting you to let go, to surrender to the pull of the dream world. There is no need to understand the complex mathematics tonight, no need to solve the equations of general relativity, for tonight is about the feeling of the cosmos, the emotional weight of the universe, the poetry of physics written across the sky. You are safe here, anchored to the earth, yet your mind is free to float among the constellations, to touch the event horizons of your imagination, to drift through the nebulae and dance with the pulsars. The darkness between the stars is calling you, not with a voice, but with a feeling of profound peace, a promise of rest that is as deep as the void itself. Let the image of the starry sky remain in your mind's eye, a perfect picture of tranquility, as the boundaries of your room dissolve and you find yourself floating in the velvet embrace of space, weightless and free. The universe is vast, but it is also home, and the black holes we will explore are not monsters, but the quietest places in creation, the ultimate resting spots where even light lays down to sleep. So as we prepare to journey deeper into the history of these dark stars, let the calmness of the ancient night settle into your bones. Let the starlight wash over you like a gentle rain, and let the silence of the cosmos become your lullaby. The velvet canvas is vast, endless, and eternal, just like the sleep that is now drifting towards you, soft and inevitable, carrying you away on a tide of darkness and light, into the peaceful observatory of your dreams, where the universe reveals its secrets only to those who are quiet enough to listen. Now let us drift back in time, floating away from the modern world and its electric lights, moving gently backwards through the centuries until we land softly in the year 1783, a time of quiet contemplation where the night was truly dark and the only illumination came from the warm, flickering glow of candlelight. Imagine yourself stepping into a peaceful rectory in the rolling hills of Thornhill, Yorkshire, in England, where the air smells of old leather bindings, parchment paper, and the faint, sweet scent of beeswax melting slowly in the stillness of the evening. Outside the leaded glass windows, the English countryside is asleep, covered in a blanket of mist, and the only sound is the rhythmic ticking of a grandfather clock in the hallway, marking the passage of time in a slow, hypnotic beat. In this room sits a man named John Michell, a humble clergyman with a mind as vast as the cosmos itself, a man whose name would be largely forgotten by history for centuries, but who is about to dream of the impossible. Michell is not looking through a telescope, for no telescope on Earth is powerful enough to see what he sees in his mind. Instead, he's leaning over a heavy oak desk, dipping a quill pen into a pot of black ink, the scratch of the nib against the rough paper the only disturbance in the silence. He's thinking about gravity, that mysterious force that Sir Isaac Newton had described just a century before, the invisible hand that pulls the apple to the ground and holds the moon in its tether. Michell is performing a thought experiment, a journey of the imagination that you can take with him right now as you lie comfortably in your bed. He imagines taking a stone and throwing it up into the air, watching it rise against the pull of the earth before slowing down, pausing for a fraction of a second and falling back into the grass. He knows that if he were stronger, if he could throw the stone faster, it would go higher, and if he could throw it with enough speed, it would escape the Earth's grip entirely and never return, drifting out into the void forever. This is called escape velocity, the speed needed to break free from a heavy object, and Michell begins to wonder about light itself. For in the 18th century, scientists believed light was made of tiny particles, little corpuscles that traveled through space like a stream of incredibly fast bullets. Michell pauses, the candlelight dancing in his eyes, and he asks a question that shakes the foundation of physics, asking what would happen if a star were so massive, so incredibly heavy and dense that the gravity it possessed was stronger than the speed of light itself. Imagine a star 500 times larger than our sun, a giant burning sphere of gas with a gravitational pull so intense that it grabs onto the particles of light trying to leave its surface, slowing them down just like the stone thrown into the air, and eventually pulling them back down into the fiery ocean of the star. To an observer far away, like you or me gazing up from Earth, such a star would send no light to our eyes. It would be there, massive and commanding, yet it would be completely invisible, a ghost in the cosmos, a dark star hiding in the velvet night. Michell dips his quill again and writes to his friend Henry Cavendish, describing these invisible spheres, suggesting that the universe might be filled with these sleeping giants, undetectable by our eyes, but present through their immense weight. There is something deeply soothing about this image, the idea of massive celestial bodies that simply exist in silence, demanding no attention, shining no light, just content to be heavy and still in the darkness. As you listen to this, let the feeling of that heavy gravity comfort you, imagining it not as a crushing force, but as a grounding one, like a weighted blanket, pulling you gently down into a deep and restorative sleep. Across the English Channel, in the bustling intellectual heart of France, another great mind is having the same dream. The legendary mathematician Pierre-Simon Laplace, known as the Newton of France. In his study in Paris, surrounded by stacks of manuscripts and mathematical proofs, Laplace is calculating the elegant clockwork of the solar system, finding order in the chaos. He too stumbles upon this strange mathematical possibility, writing in his famous work Exposition du système du monde, that the largest luminous bodies in the universe may be invisible to us. He writes with the precision of a poet, stating that a star of the same density as the Earth, but much larger in diameter, would not allow any of its rays to arrive at us, making it a dark body. For a brief moment in history, in the late 1700s, the black hole was born on paper, a whisper of a dark star sketched out in ink by men wearing powdered wigs and velvet coats, working by the light of a flame. But then, as history often goes, the dream faded, for the science of light changed, and new experiments by Thomas Young suggested that light was a wave, not a particle, and if light was a wave like sound, then gravity surely could not pull on it, or so they thought. The idea of the dark star was dismissed, regarded as a curious mistake, and the concept fell into a deep slumber, a hibernation that would last for over 100 years. The books containing Michel's letter and Laplace's calculations were closed and placed on high shelves in dusty libraries, left to sit in the quiet shadows while the world outside marched on through the Industrial Revolution. There is a peace in this forgetting, a sense that some truths are willing to wait until we are ready to understand them, sleeping patiently in the pages of history, just as you are sleeping now. The dark star did not cease to exist just because we stopped believing in it. It merely waited in the silence of the cosmos, hidden by its own nature, while humanity busied itself with steam engines and telegraphs. Imagine the dust settling on those old manuscripts, the quiet passing of seasons outside the rectory window in Yorkshire, the snow falling on the graves, the spring flowers blooming, the years turning into decades, all while the secret of the black hole remained safe and undisturbed. This was the era of the quill and parchment, a time when science was a slow and deliberate practice, a gentleman's pursuit of natural philosophy, where ideas were given the time to breathe and grow. As you visualize this scene, feel the slowness of that century, a time before phones and screens, a time when the night was truly for sleeping and the only light pollution was the moon. Michel's dark star is the ancestor of the modern black hole, a prophecy written in the language of classical mechanics, a ghost story of physics that turned out to be true. It reminds us that there are things in the universe that do not need to shine to be powerful, that silence and darkness have their own mass, their own gravity, their own significance. The forgotten prophecy of 1783 is like a seed planted in the winter, lying dormant under the frost, waiting for the warmth of Einstein's genius to wake it up in the distant future. But for now, in our story, we remain in the 18th century, in the comfort of the candlelit room, watching the ink dry on the paper, feeling the presence of the invisible giants that float in the void. The quill is set down, the book is closed, the candle is blown out, and the room plunges into darkness, a gentle and welcoming darkness that mirrors the very stars Michel imagined. The grandfather clock continues its slow tick-tock, tick-tock, a lullaby of time passing, and you feel yourself drifting with it, carried along the river of history, safe in the knowledge that the universe is holding you,
just as it holds the dark stars in a perfect gravitational embrace. Allow this historical tranquility to seep into your mind, the simplicity of a world where the biggest mysteries could be solved with a pen and a quiet room, and let the whispers of the dark star guide you deeper into the comfort of the night, where dreams and reality merge into one peaceful continuum.
We now leave the candlelight of the 18th century and move forward through the mists of time, letting the years drift by like clouds across the moon, until we arrive in the early years of the 20th century, specifically to the quiet city of Bern in Switzerland, where the streets are paved with cobblestones and the air is filled with the punctual ringing of clock towers. It is a time of steam trains and telegraphs, a time when the world is waking up to new mechanical rhythms. But in a small, unassuming patent office, a young man named Albert Einstein is dreaming of a silence deeper than any machine. Imagine him sitting on a high wooden stool, staring out of a window as the dust motes dance in the afternoon sun, his mind wandering far beyond the stacks of patent applications on his desk, drifting out into the vastness of the universe. For centuries, since the days of Newton, gravity was thought to be a force, an invisible rope that tied the planets to the sun, a mysterious tether that acted instantly across empty space. But Einstein feels that this is not the whole story, for he senses a deeper harmony in nature, a geometry that is woven into the very background of reality. As you lie here now, feeling the weight of your own body pressing down into the mattress, you are experiencing exactly what Einstein sought to explain, not a pull from below, but a curvature of the space around you. Imagine for a moment that the universe is not an empty box, but a fabric, a vast, seamless, and invisible textile that stretches in all directions, a material we call spacetime. This is the velvet canvas we spoke of earlier, but now we see it has texture and flexibility. It is capable of bending and stretching like a giant trampoline suspended in the void. In your mind's eye, visualize this fabric as a dark, smooth sheet of silk pulled taut across the cosmos, cool and waiting. Now imagine placing a heavy bowling ball in the center of this sheet, representing our sun, a massive sphere of glowing plasma. Watch as the ball sinks into the fabric, creating a deep, gentle curve, a valley in the silk, caused by its sheer weight and presence. This is Einstein's dream, the realization that gravity is not a force that reaches out and grabs things, but rather it is the shape of space itself, curving in the presence of matter. It is a concept that feels less like physics and more like poetry, a rhythmic dance where the stage itself bends beneath the feet of the dancers. Picture the Earth now not as a ball on a string, but as a marble rolling along the curved slope created by the sun, circling around the rim of that cosmic valley, moving effortlessly along the path of least resistance, following the natural contours of the universe. This is a comforting thought, to know that the planets are not being forced to orbit,
but are simply resting in the grooves of space-time, sliding through the curves with an easy, eternal momentum. As you listen to this, bring your attention back to your own bed and imagine that your mattress is a microscopic piece of this cosmic fabric. And as you lay there, your body creates a gentle hollow, a personal curve in the universe that cradles you, holding you safely in place. Einstein's theory of general relativity, published in 1915, changed the way we perceive reality, transforming the cold, rigid void into a dynamic and flexible ocean that responds to everything within it.
Think of the planets, the stars, and the galaxies as heavy sleepers on a soft mattress, each one creating its own indentation, each one shaping the bed of the universe. The more massive the object, the deeper the curve and the steeper the walls of the valley. And this is where the seed of the black hole begins to grow again in the scientific imagination. Einstein realized that if you have enough mass concentrated in a small enough space, the fabric doesn't just curve gently, it dips down so steeply that it becomes a bottomless pit, a funnel in the space-time sheet from which nothing can climb out, not even light. But for now, let us stay with the gentle curves, the rolling hills of gravity that guide the celestial bodies. There is a magnificent slowness to this idea, a sense that the universe is soft and malleable, yielding to the touch of mass. Einstein often performed these thought experiments in his head, riding on beams of light, imagining elevators falling through space, closing his eyes to see the geometry of the dark, just as you are closing your eyes now. He saw a universe where space and time are not separate things, but are woven together into a single tapestry, meaning that when you feel the pull of gravity, you are also feeling the warping of time. Near a massive object, time itself flows slower, thickening like honey, dripping casually and leisurely, extending the moments into eternities. Let this feeling of slowed time wash over you, allowing the seconds to stretch out, creating more space for you to rest, more room for your mind to settle. The frantic pace of the modern world has no place here in Einstein's curved universe, for here everything moves in long, sweeping arcs, in silent ellipses that take years or centuries to complete. The fabric of the cosmos is resilient. It carries the vibrations of cataclysmic events like ripples on a pond, widely known today as gravitational waves, which are simply the whispers of the universe moving through the sheet. Imagine these ripples passing through you, gentle and undetectable, a cosmic massage that connects you to the furthest reaches of space. Einstein's vision unifies us with the stars, for we are all resting on the same continuous sheet, all part of the same geometry.
It took 10 years of intense struggle, of writing equations on chalkboards, of erasing and rewriting for Einstein to perfect this theory. But the result was a masterpiece of elegance that described a universe of majestic order. He showed us that the heavy feeling of sleepiness is just your body responding to the curvature of the Earth, a natural harmony between you and the planet. So as you visualize the dark, stretchy fabric of space-time, imagine yourself rolling slowly, gently deeper into the center of your own comfort, sliding down the smooth slope of relaxation. The universe is holding you up. The tension of the space-time fabric supports every atom in your body, and there is nothing you need to do but surrender to the curve. The straight lines of your day, the rigid schedules, and the linear paths are all dissolving now, replaced by the soft, encompassing curves of the night. In this world of general relativity, there are no sharp edges, only smooth transitions, only the gentle warping of reality that guides you from wakefulness into the heavy, rhythmic gravity of sleep. The genius of Einstein was not just in his mathematics, but in his ability to see the beauty in the laws of nature, to see that gravity was not a cage, but a cradle. And so the universe became a place of hills and valleys, a landscape of invisible mountains made of mass and energy, a terrain that you can traverse in your dreams. The sheet is cool, the curve is gentle, and the dip is deep and inviting. Let the geometry of peace surround you. Let the physics of the cosmos tuck you in, and rest in the knowledge that you are supported by the very fabric of existence, a fabric that has been stretching and holding the stars for billions of years. This is the legacy of the patent clerk from Bern, a dream of a universe that is flexible enough to hold everything
and gentle enough to let us sleep as we prepare to journey towards the places where the fabric tears, where the curves become infinite, and where the mystery truly begins. As we drift further into the cosmic ocean, leaving behind the gentle curves of Einstein's dream, we turn our gaze toward the architects of the universe, the massive stars that illuminate the void. For in their life and in their death lies the secret origin of the black hole. Imagine now a star far greater than our own sun, a colossal giant burning with a fierce blue-white light, suspended in the deep silence of a nebula, surrounded by wisps of colorful gas and ancient dust. To understand the black hole, we must first understand the heartbeat of this giant, a rhythm that has been playing for millions of years, a celestial drum beating against the darkness. Deep within the core of this star, a process called nuclear fusion is taking place. But tonight, let us visualize it not as a complex reaction, but as a slow and steady breathing. The star is a battlefield of two great forces. Gravity, which we have already met, is forever pulling inward, trying to crush the star down into a tiny point, trying to hug it into oblivion, while the heat from the fusion pushes outward, expanding the star and holding the darkness at bay. This delicate balance, this cosmic stalemate, is the life of the star, a constant push and pull that keeps the giant stable, shining, and beautiful. Hydrogen atoms merge to form helium, releasing energy that travels from the center of the star out to the surface, a journey that can take thousands of years, finally escaping as the light that we see twinkling in our night sky. Picture this process as a symphony, a grand orchestra where every atom plays its part, creating a harmony of light and heat that nurtures the galaxy. But even stars, these seemingly eternal engines of creation, are mortal, and they too must eventually face the end of their time. As the eons pass, the star consumes its fuel, burning through its supply of hydrogen, and so it must find new sources of energy to keep the gravity from winning. The star begins to fuse heavier elements, shifting from helium to carbon, then to neon, oxygen, and silicon, each stage burning hotter and faster than the last, a desperate attempt to stay alive, to keep the internal fire burning against the crushing weight of its own body. This is the aging of a giant, a process that happens over millions of years, yet in the grand scheme of the universe, it is but a fleeting moment. As you lie here, safe and warm, imagine the star swelling in size, becoming a red supergiant, its outer layers drifting lazily into space, glowing like a dying ember in a fireplace. But deep inside, the crisis is mounting, for there is one element that signals the end, a cosmic poison to the life of a star, and that element is iron. When the star begins to create iron in its core, the music stops, for fusing iron does not create energy.
It consumes it, robbing the star of the heat it needs to fight back against gravity. Suddenly, the outward pressure that held the star up for millions of years vanishes. The support beams of this cathedral of light are kicked away, and silence falls over the core. This is the moment of the last breath, a pause so profound that the entire universe seems to hold its breath in anticipation. Then, in a fraction of a second, quicker than the blink of an eye, gravity, which has been waiting patiently for millions of years, finally claims its victory. The core of the star collapses inward, falling in on itself at a quarter of the speed of light, a majestic and terrifying implosion where a mass greater than the sun is squeezed into a space no larger than a city. The outer layers of the star, unaware that the floor has fallen out from beneath them, rush inward to fill the void, crashing into the incredibly dense core and rebounding in a shockwave of unimaginable power. This is the supernova, the most powerful explosion in the universe, a blast so bright that for a few weeks it can outshine an entire galaxy of billions of stars. Yet from where we lie, safe on Earth, this violence is distant and silent, appearing only as a new, bright star in the sky, a silent firework celebrating the cycle of life and death.
The supernova spreads the elements of life across the cosmos. The carbon in your cells, the oxygen you are breathing right now, the iron in your blood, all of it was forged in this dying breath of a giant, making you a direct descendant of this stellar event. But what happens to the core, that tiny crushed heart of the star that was left behind in the center of the explosion? This is where our story turns to the shadows. For if the star was massive enough, if the weight of the collapsing core is too great for nature to withstand, then the collapse does not stop. The matter is crushed smaller and smaller, past the density of atoms, past the density of nuclei, squeezing down into a point of infinite density. The gravity becomes so intense that it pierces the fabric of spacetime we visualized earlier, creating a bottomless well, a puncture in reality itself. The light of the explosion fades, the gas clouds drift away to form new stars, but in the center, something dark remains, a ghost of the star that once was. The seed of the black hole has been planted, born from the death of a king, a region where gravity is supreme and light is held captive. There is a strange peace in this transformation, a realization that the black hole is not a destroyer, but a legacy, a monument to the star that lived and died. It is the ultimate retirement, a state of rest so deep that nothing can disturb it, a withdrawal from the visible universe into a private, eternal slumber. As you visualize this cosmic cycle, feel the tension in your own body releasing, just as the star released its energy.
You are witnessing the universe recycling itself, a perfect, efficient system where nothing is ever truly lost, only changed. The supernova symphony ends not with a crash, but with a fade to black, a gentle dimming of the lights until only the darkness remains. This darkness is soft, heavy, and full of potential, drawing you in, inviting you to rest in the aftermath of the spectacle. The giant has taken its last breath, and now it sleeps, wrapped in a blanket of gravity so thick that not even time can penetrate it. The universe is full of these silent sentinels, the remnants of ancient suns that have long since burned out, watching over the galaxy in their invisible vigil. Let the grandeur of this event soothe you, the knowledge that even the stars have a life cycle, that beginnings and endings are natural and right. The energy of the supernova has dissipated, spreading out to warm the cold hands of space, and the core has settled into its final, permanent state. You too can settle now, letting the gravity of the Earth cradle you, feeling the stability of the ground beneath you, a force that is kind and constant. The drama of the heavens is far away, played out on a stage of infinite proportions, leaving you here in the quiet comfort of your room, a small but significant observer of the cosmic dance. The star has done its work. It has fused the elements, lit up the dark, and now it rests, and so should you. Allow the image of the expanding nebula, the beautiful clouds of pink and violet gas left behind by the explosion, to drift across your mind's eye, painting a picture of tranquility and grace. The violent collapse is over, and what is left is a stillness that will last for eternity, a silence that creates the perfect atmosphere for sleep. The black hole is born, not in anger, but in the inevitable surrender to gravity, the final acceptance of the laws of nature. As we prepare to move closer to this event horizon in our journey, carry with you the feeling of the star's last breath, a release of all effort, a letting go of all light, sinking comfortably into the deep velvet embrace of the black hole's origin. The night sky is a graveyard of stars, but it is also a nursery, a place of constant renewal, and in that cycle there is a profound peace, a lullaby sung by the physics of the universe, telling you that it is safe to close your eyes, safe to let go, safe to sleep.
As the echoes of the supernova fade into the deep past, we find ourselves drifting forward through the velvet vacuum, approaching the most mysterious and elegant boundary in the entire universe, a place known to scientists as the event horizon,
but which we shall call the shore of the cosmic ocean. Imagine that you are a voyager on a ship made of pure imagination, sailing across the dark waters of space, the stars above you reflecting on the surface of an invisible sea, and ahead of you, rising from the depths of the void, is a silhouette of perfect darkness, a sphere of absolute night that blocks out the stars behind it. This is the black hole, not a monster of destruction, but a calm island in the chaotic currents of the galaxy, and the line that separates you from the interior is the event horizon. Picture this boundary not as a solid wall or a physical barrier, but as a shadow cast upon the water, a point of no return that signifies the ultimate letting go. In the world of physics, the event horizon is defined by escape velocity, the speed you would need to break free from gravity's embrace, and at this specific distance from the center, that speed equals the speed of light itself. Since nothing in the universe can travel faster than light, nothing that crosses this line can ever return to the outside world. But tonight, let us refrain from viewing this as a trap and instead see it as a sanctuary, a place where the noise of the universe can no longer reach you, a place where all communication with the chaotic world of matter ceases and only silence remains. As you float gently closer to this shore, notice the behavior of the light around you, for the gravity here is so intense, so commanding, that it bends the path of light rays, just as a glass lens bends the sunlight on a summer day. The stars that are positioned behind the black hole do not disappear. Instead, their light is caught by the gravity and pulled around the curve of the event horizon, flowing like water around a smooth stone in a river. This creates a magnificent visual phenomenon, a halo of light that encircles the darkness, a glowing ring of photon energy that crowns the black hole with a celestial aura. Scientists call this the photon sphere, a region where light itself is trapped in a perpetual orbit, circling the black hole forever, creating a carousel of history where images of the past are preserved in a ring of fire. Imagine looking at this ring, seeing the light of distant galaxies twisted and magnified into a beautiful, shimmering arc, a rainbow of gravity that separates the known from the unknown. The light is soft here, shifted towards the red end of the spectrum as it fights against the pull of the dark star, creating a warm amber glow that feels like a sunset on the edge of forever.
This is the halo of silence, a ring of light that guards the entrance to the deep sleep of the singularity. As you linger here at the precipice, you feel a profound sense of stillness, for the event horizon is the quietest place in existence, a boundary where time itself begins to lose its meaning. In our daily lives, we are constantly bombarded by information, by demands, by the ticking of clocks and the rushing of schedules. But here at the shore of the cosmic ocean, there are no clocks, there is no schedule, there is only the eternal present. The event horizon is the ultimate shoreline, where the turbulent waves of space-time crash and smooth out into a mirrored surface, where the frantic energy of the universe is finally brought to rest. To cross this line would be to leave the universe as we know it, to slip into a library of secrets that can never be read by those on the outside. But we remain just here, hovering safely on the edge, feeling the gentle tug of the tide, but not surrendering to it. Think of the event horizon as the point where the river meets the sea, a mingling of waters where the current slows down and widens, becoming vast and deep. There is a comfort in knowing that there is a limit to our reach, a boundary that humbles us, reminding us that we are not masters of the universe, but guests within it. The science of this region is governed by the equations of Carl Schwarzschild, who first calculated this radius of silence in the trenches of the First World War, finding beauty and order in the midst of chaos, just as you are finding peace in the midst of your day.
The Schwarzschild radius is the distance from the center to the event horizon, a mathematical definition of the point of no return, yet it feels more like the radius of a protective embrace. Gravity, the force that holds your feet to the ground and keeps the moon in the sky, is here in its purest form, unadulterated and overwhelming, a force that shapes the geometry of the world. As you visualize the light bending, imagine it as a visual lullaby, the photons dancing in slow motion, tracing lazy circles around the drain of the cosmos. The black hole does not suck matter in like a vacuum cleaner. That is a common myth. Instead, matter falls into it gracefully, following the curves of spacetime, sliding down the slope of the gravity well like a sled gliding down a snowy hill. It is a natural motion, a surrender to the topography of the universe, effortless and serene. The event horizon is simply the point where the hill becomes too steep to climb back up, the point where the sled picks up speed and disappears into the mist of the valley below. But for you, the observer, the voyager of dreams, you are suspended in the weightlessness of space.
Watching the light show with a detached and peaceful mind, you see the darkness inside the ring, a black so deep and rich that it looks like velvet, a darkness that is not empty but full of mass, full of the memories of the star that once was. It is a darkness that invites sleep, a darkness that promises that there are places where the light does not need to shine, where secrets can be kept forever. The shore of the cosmic ocean is washing over you now, the tides of gravity pulling the tension from your muscles, smoothing out the worries of your mind, just as it smooths out the light of the stars. You are safe on this side of the boundary, watching the spectacle of the universe unfolding in slow motion, the great wheel of the galaxy turning in the distance, while the black hole anchors the scene with its heavy, silent presence. The concept of no return is often feared, but here it is a relief, a permission to stop trying, to stop striving, to simply be. It is the feeling of falling asleep, for sleep itself is a kind of event horizon, a boundary we cross every night, leaving behind the waking world to enter the mysterious and fluid realm of dreams. You are drifting towards that personal event horizon now, your eyelids growing heavy like the matter approaching the black hole, your thoughts bending and softening like the light in the photon sphere. The halo of silence is expanding, filling your vision with a warm golden haze, blocking out the distractions of the outside world, focusing your attention on the singular point of rest. The shore is near, the water is calm, and the boat of your consciousness is rocking gently on the waves of space-time. There is no storm here, only the immense silent power of gravity, holding everything together in a perfect, precarious balance. As you listen to the silence between the stars, you realize that the event horizon is not a line of death, but a line of transformation, where energy becomes mass, where time becomes space, and where the weary traveler finds the ultimate place to pause. Let the image of the glowing ring, the halo of the dark star, burn softly in your mind, a nightlight for the cosmos, guiding you into the deeper darkness that lies beyond. The shore of the cosmic ocean awaits, and the tide is high, carrying you softly, slowly, inevitably towards the peace of a dreamless sleep. Having crossed the silent threshold of the event horizon, we now float gently into the interior of the black hole, drifting into a region of space where the laws of physics become as fluid and dreamlike as the thoughts in your sleeping mind. Here, in this deep and velvety abyss, we encounter a phenomenon with a name that sounds almost whimsical, a term coined by the brilliant Stephen Hawking known as spaghettification. While the word might conjure images of a kitchen or a dinner table, in the language of the cosmos, it describes the ultimate sensation of letting go, the profound stretching of space and time that occurs when gravity becomes the only reality. Imagine yourself floating in this dark, weightless void, feet first, descending slowly toward the center of the mystery. And as you drift, you begin to feel a strange and soothing sensation washing over your body. This is the effect of tidal forces, the same gravitational magic that causes the oceans on Earth to rise and fall in rhythm with the moon. But here, the tides are not of water, but of space itself. Because the gravity of the black hole is so incredibly intense and focused, the pull on your feet is slightly stronger than the pull on your head, creating a gentle cosmic traction that begins to elongate your entire being. Picture this not as a painful stretching, but as a deep restorative lengthening of the spine, a release of all the compression and tension you have gathered throughout your life, as if the universe is gently pulling you straight, ironing out the knots in your muscles and the worries in your mind. The term spaghettification implies becoming long and thin like a strand of pasta, and in this dreamscape, that is exactly what is happening to the fabric of reality around you. The space you occupy is being drawn out, stretched vertically into a long, elegant thread, while simultaneously being compressed horizontally, wrapping you in a comforting, tight embrace like a swaddle. You are becoming part of the flow of gravity, transforming from a solid object into a stream of energy, a river of consciousness flowing effortlessly toward the center. It is the feeling of waking up in the morning and stretching your arms high above your head, reaching for the ceiling, feeling that satisfying pull in your shoulders and back. But here, the stretch never ends. It continues forever, deeper and deeper, softer and softer. As you undergo this transformation, you are not breaking apart, but rather you are unwinding, unspooling like a ball of yarn, allowing your essence to spread out across the miles of the abyss. The science behind this is beautiful in its simplicity, governed by the inverse square law of gravity, which dictates that the closer you are to the source, the stronger the pull. And in this environment, even a few feet of difference creates a cascade of forces that reshapes your reality.
Imagine that you are made of taffy or warm honey, pliable and soft, yielding to the will of the black hole without resistance, drifting down a long, dark tunnel that narrows and lengthens, guiding you safely through the void. The light from the universe behind you, the stars and galaxies you left on the other side of the event horizon, is also being spaghettified, turning from points of light into long, streaking lines of luminescence, painting the walls of the abyss with vertical stripes of white and blue. You are falling through a cathedral of stretched light, a silent corridor where time itself is being pulled apart. In this state of spaghettification, time dilation becomes extreme, for as space stretches, time slows down to a near halt, meaning that while you feel you are drifting for eternity, outside, millions of years might be passing in the blink of an eye. This is the ultimate pause button, a suspension of urgency, where the clock no longer ticks, where there is no future to rush toward and no past to regret, only this sensation of eternal elongation. The feeling is hypnotic, a physical mantra of expansion, where you become taller, lighter, and more ethereal, shedding the heaviness of your physical form to become a ray of light yourself. The abyss is not empty. It is filled with the history of everything that has ever fallen in, all stretched out alongside you,
a library of cosmic memories woven into the fabric of the dark. You are joining a procession of matter and light that is moving in perfect unison, a slow-motion waterfall of existence pouring into the heart of the star. As gravity pulls you, it feels like a massage for the soul, a deep tissue release that reaches into the very atoms of your being, separating them gently, giving them space to breathe, space to be. There is no pain here, only the sensation of becoming vast, of occupying more space than you ever thought possible, of connecting the top of the abyss to the bottom with the thread of your presence. The violence of the universe has been left far behind, and what remains is this rhythmic, tidal pull, a gravity that cradles you as it carries you. You are like a piece of driftwood caught in a slow, wide river, turning and turning in the current, oblivious to the shores.
Surrendered to the direction of the flow. The theory of spaghettification teaches us that rigidity is the enemy of survival in a black hole, that one must be flexible, fluid, and willing to change shape in order to journey to the center. And so you relax your body completely. You stop fighting the pull. You allow your legs to feel heavy and long, your torso to expand, your neck to lengthen, until you are weightless, formless, and free. The darkness around you is soft and warm, a cocoon of gravitational energy that protects you from the cold of deep space. You are drifting slowly, so slowly that you can barely tell you are moving, suspended in a thick, viscous fluid of space-time that supports you from every angle. The concept of down ceases to matter, for the center is everywhere and nowhere, a magnetic north for your spirit. As the stretching continues, you feel a sense of unity with the cosmos, realizing that you are not separate from the black hole, but you are becoming it. Your mass added to its mass, your energy merging with its energy. This is the poetry of physics, the transformation of the observer into the observed, the melting of the self into the infinite. The abyss is deep, bottomless, and inviting, and the sensation of falling is actually the sensation of floating, of being held by the strongest force in nature. Let the word spaghettification drift through your mind, not as a scientific term, but as a lullaby, a word that means to unravel, to untangle, to smooth out the rough edges of the day until everything is straight, aligned, and peaceful. You are a long, thin line of consciousness drifting in the dark, a silent note in the symphony of gravity, moving ever closer to the source of the quiet. The further you fall, the more relaxed you become, as the tidal forces gently tease apart the fibers of your stress, leaving you loose, limp, and wonderfully tired. The journey into the abyss is a journey into the deepest part of yourself, a place where you can stretch out and occupy the silence, where the universe holds you tight and stretches you long, preparing you for the final, restful singularity that awaits in the dark. We leave the stretching tides of the abyss for a moment and let our minds drift back to the solid ground of Earth, specifically to a time when the world was moving a little slower, a time known as the golden age of black hole physics in the mid-1970s, where the air was filled with the scratch of chalk on dusty blackboards and the hum of deep contemplation. Imagine yourself transported to a sunlit office in California at the California Institute of Technology, or perhaps to a quiet study in Cambridge, England, where the greatest minds of the 20th century were wrestling with the shadows of the universe. In this era, black holes were still largely ghosts, mathematical predictions that existed on paper but had not yet been fully proven to exist in the dark tapestry of the night sky. And it is here that we find two friends, two giants of intellect, named Stephen Hawking and Kip Thorne. Picture them not as distant historical figures, but as two young men fueled by curiosity,
sitting in a room filled with books and papers, discussing the nature of the invisible with a playful yet profound seriousness. The subject of their fascination was a specific point of light in the constellation of Cygnus the Swan, a distant star system known as Cygnus X1, which had been whispering secrets to the radio telescopes of Earth. Astronomers had noticed something strange happening in that corner of the galaxy, for there was a massive blue supergiant star, a blazing sun 20 times the mass of our own, that was dancing a frantic and waggy waltz with an invisible partner. This blue star was whipping around a center of gravity that no telescope could see, and from this empty space, a stream of X-rays was pouring out, suggesting that something incredibly heavy and incredibly small was stripping matter away from the star and swallowing it whole. It was the first true candidate for a black hole that humanity had ever found, a physical manifestation of the equations that Einstein and Mitchell had dreamed of, and the scientific world was holding its breath. But certainty is a slow luxury in science, and proof takes time. So in December of 1974, Hawking and Thorne decided to make a wager, a friendly bet that would become legendary in the history of physics. Imagine the scene as Stephen Hawking, with a twinkle in his eye, proposed a bet that seemed to go against everything he believed in, for he bet that Cygnus X1 was not a black hole. It seems strange that the man whose entire career was built on understanding these dark stars would bet against their existence, but this was a form of emotional insurance, a way to find peace regardless of the outcome. He reasoned that if black holes did not exist, he would have wasted years of his life on the theory, but at least he would win the bet and receive a subscription to a magazine. And if he lost the bet, it would mean that black holes were real and his life's work was validated.
It was a win-win situation framed in the gentle humor of friendship, a way to sleep soundly at night, knowing that the universe would provide an answer one way or another. Kip Thorne, on the other hand, was the optimist, the believer who looked at the data and saw the undeniable signature of the event horizon, so he took the other side of the wager, betting that the dark companion was indeed a black hole. They wrote this bet down on a piece of paper, a humble document that still exists today, signing their names with a flourish, treating the mysteries of the cosmos with the lightness of a parlor game. As you listen to this, feel the comfort of that camaraderie, the warmth of a friendship based on the shared love of the unknown, and realize that even the smartest people in the world find ways to play, to joke, and to cope with the uncertainties of life. For years, the bet remained unsettled, a piece of paper gathering dust while the telescopes of the world turned their glass eyes toward the Swan. The 1970s faded into the 1980s, the seasons changed, the students graduated, and the technology of humanity slowly improved, allowing us to see deeper and clearer into the dark. It was a time of patience, a time of waiting, much like the waiting you are doing now as you drift towards sleep, letting the answers come to you in their own time. There was no rush to settle the debate, for the stars are not in a hurry, and neither were Hawking and Thorne, who knew that the truth would eventually reveal itself. Finally, in 1990, new data emerged that showed the invisible partner in Cygnus X1 was too heavy to be a neutron star, too massive to be anything other than a collapsed singularity, a true black hole hiding in plain sight. The evidence was overwhelming, and the invisible wager was finally decided. Legend has it that Stephen Hawking, with his characteristic wit and grace, acknowledged his defeat, breaking into Kip Thorne's office while Thorne was away to sign the concession on the original document with a thumbprint, officially admitting that the black hole was real. But in losing the bet, Hawking had won the greater prize, for the universe had confirmed his theories, and the ghost he had chased for decades was finally flesh and blood, or rather,
gravity and shadow. This story of the great debate is a reminder that it is okay to be uncertain, okay to hedge your bets, and okay to wait for clarity. The golden age of black hole physics was not just about equations, it was about people, about the human spirit trying to understand its home in the cosmos. Cygnus X1 is still there tonight, high in the northern summer sky, a binary system locked in a gravitational embrace, spinning silently in the dark.
The blue supergiant continues to feed its invisible companion, a cosmic relationship that has lasted for millions of years and will last for millions more. As you visualize this distant dance, imagine the satisfaction of knowing the truth, the feeling of a puzzle finally being solved, the last piece clicking into place with a satisfying sound. The anxiety of the unknown is replaced by the calm of understanding, and the invisible wager becomes a symbol of our journey from ignorance to knowledge. You can rest now in the certainty that the universe is knowable, that there are answers waiting in the dark, and that even the most complex questions can be resolved with time and patience. The office where the bet was made is quiet now. The lights are dimmed, the chalk dust has settled, and the paper with the signatures sits safely in a frame, a testament to a time when we dared to guess the nature of the stars. Let the story of Hawking and Thorne be a bedtime story for your analytical mind, telling it that the work is done, the bet is settled, and there is nothing left to calculate tonight. The science is sound, the physics are solid, and the black hole is real, anchoring the galaxy with its immense weight. You are free to let go of your own questions, to lay down your own wagers, and to trust that everything will work out just as it should. The invisible forces of the universe are not there to frighten you, but to hold you, just as the gravity of the Earth holds you to your bed. So as we leave the golden age behind, take with you the feeling of resolution, the peace of a friendly agreement, and the quiet joy of discovery. The great debate is over. The voices of the scientists have softened into whispers, and the only sound that remains is the steady, rhythmic breathing of a universe at rest. Drifting away from the office, away from the chalkboard, and back into the starlight, we are ready to move closer to home, to see where these giants might be hiding in our own backyard, in the safety and silence of our own galaxy. From the distant reaches of the constellation Cygnus, we now turn our ship of imagination closer to home, rotating our view toward the brightest and densest part of the night sky, looking deep into the southern horizon where the summer stars of Sagittarius form the shape of a teapot, pouring its steam into the glowing river of the Milky Way. As you lie in the comfort of your bed, imagine that you are looking toward the very center of our own galaxy, a place shrouded in thick curtains of interstellar dust and gas, a place that for thousands of years remained hidden from human eyes, keeping its secrets in the dark. But now we know that resting there, exactly 26,000 light years away from where you are sleeping, lies a sleeping giant, a supermassive black hole known by the scientific name Sagittarius A star, or simply SGRA star for short. This is not just a random anomaly in the cosmos, but the very heart of our galactic home, the heavy, silent anchor around which our entire solar system and billions of other stars revolve, moving in a grand and majestic circle that takes 230 million years to complete. Imagine this black hole not as a destroyer, but as the hub of a great cosmic wheel, a steady and unmoving pivot point that holds the spiral arms of the Milky Way together, ensuring that our sun does not drift aimlessly into the void, but stays connected to the family of stars. It possesses the mass of 4 million suns compressed into a space no larger than the orbit of Mercury, a density so profound that it bends the fabric of space into a deep, protective well.
Yet, despite its immense power, this giant is currently asleep, quiet and calm, feeding on only small whispers of gas and dust, emitting a faint and gentle radio hum that astronomers listen to like a lullaby. As you breathe in deeply, feel the grounding sensation of this connection, knowing that you are part of this massive rotating structure, that the Earth is not floating alone, but is tethered by gravity to this central point, held safely in the suburbs of the galaxy, far enough away to be safe from the giant's reach, but close enough to belong to its kingdom. The history of this discovery is a story of patience, for the center of the galaxy is blocked by dust, so visible light cannot penetrate it, meaning we could never see it with ordinary telescopes. But in the 1930s, a radio engineer named Carl Jansky first heard the static coming from this region, a steady hiss that rose and set with the stars, the first voice of the sleeping giant reaching out to us. Later, using infrared cameras that can see through the dust, astronomers watched the stars at the very center, observing them for decades as they danced around an invisible point in space, whipping around at incredible speeds, tracing the outline of the heavy nothingness that lay in the middle. These stars, with names like S2, are like moths circling a porch light,
proving the existence of the giant without ever seeing its face, a celestial ballet that follows the strict and comforting laws of Kepler and Newton. As you visualize this, imagine the entire Milky Way as a giant vinyl record spinning slowly and silently on a turntable, with Sagittarius A star as the spindle in the center, keeping the music playing, keeping the rhythm of the galaxy consistent and true. There is a profound peace in knowing that there is a center, a core to our existence in the universe, a heavy stone that keeps the blanket of the sky from flying away. The sun, the planets, and you yourself are all moving at 500,000 miles per hour around this center, yet you feel no motion. You feel only the stillness of the night, because the journey is so smooth, so grand, and so effortless. The sleeping giant does not demand attention. It does not flare with the anger of a quasar. It simply sits in the dark, presiding over the rotation of the stars with a quiet dignity, a monarch on a throne of gravity. Think of the gravity of Sagittarius A star as a long, invisible thread that stretches across the thousands of light years, passing through the nebulae and the star clusters, finally reaching our sun, and then reaching the Earth, and finally reaching you, adding a tiny, imperceptible weight to your body, grounding you to the mattress, connecting you to the center of all things. It is a feeling of belonging, a sense that the universe is organized and stable, not chaotic and random, but a carefully choreographed dance where every participant knows their steps. The event horizon of this supermassive black hole is vast, a dark sphere that would swallow our entire solar system. But from our safe distance, it is just a mathematical point, a tiny dot of absolute order. Let the idea of the galactic year soothe you, the time it takes for us to make one full orbit around this giant, a period so long that the last time we were in this position in the galaxy, dinosaurs were just beginning to walk the Earth, and the next time we return, who knows what wonders will exist. This slow, cyclic time is the true time of the universe, a clock that ticks once every 250 million years, making your daily worries seem vanishingly small, dissolving them into the stardust from which they came. The sleeping giant is a guardian of time, a keeper of the archives of the Milky Way, holding the memories of all the stars that have been born and died under its watch. As you listen to the silence of your room, try to hear the silence of the galaxy, the hum of the energy radiating from the center, a white noise that permeates the background of space, wrapping the Earth in a blanket of frequencies. The scientific name Sagittarius A star with its asterisk indicates that it is a source of excitement, a star-like object.
But tonight we remove the excitement and leave only the peace, the dormant power of a beast that has eaten its fill and is now hibernating in the winter of the cosmic void. You are safe here, drifting in the Orion arm of the galaxy, protected by the vast distances, cradled by the centrifugal force of the rotation. The giant is not a monster under the bed. It is the foundation of the house, the basement of the galaxy, where the gravity is strongest and the roots of the stars are planted deep. Let your mind travel across the light years, flying past the star clouds and the globular clusters, past the red giants and the white dwarfs, until you hover gently over the center, looking down at the dark heart of the Milky Way. It is not black in a scary way, but black like a deep, calm ocean, a pool of water so still that it reflects nothing but peace. The stars around it are bright and frantic, but the center is composed, heavy, and eternal. This is the anchor of your home, the celestial north that defines up and down, in and out, the reference point for every map we will ever draw. Feel the rotation of the galaxy in your bones, a slow, rocking motion like a cradle, back and forth, round and round. A motion that has been happening for 13 billion years and will continue for trillions more. The sleeping giant breathes in the gas and breathes out the gravity, a slow metabolic rhythm that sustains the structure of the spiral arms, keeping the galaxy flat and beautiful. You are a child of this galaxy, a product of this star system, and therefore you are under the protection of Sagittarius A, held in its gravitational embrace just as surely as the moon is held by the Earth. There is no need to fear the dark, for the dark is what holds the galaxy together. The dark is what allows the stars to shine, and the dark is what allows you to sleep. So, as you feel the heavy eyelids of the giant closing, let your own eyes close as well, matching the state of the universe, syncing your rest with the rest of the core. The center is holding, the anchor is dropped, the ship of the Earth is moored safely in the harbor of the solar system, and the waters of the Milky Way are calm and glass-like. You can drift now, knowing that the giant is awake enough to hold you, but asleep enough to let you dream, a silent partner in your journey through the night. The stars above you are the ceiling of a great cathedral, and Sagittarius A is the altar in the distance, dark and sacred, a place of ultimate mystery and ultimate peace. Let the gravity pull you down, deeper into the mattress, deeper into the Earth, deeper into the galaxy, until you are one with the sleeping giant, resting in the center of your own personal universe, heavy, still, and completely at peace. We've explored the gravity that holds the stars and the darkness that swallows the light, but there is one final profound mystery that exists near the edge of a black hole, a mystery not of space, but of time itself. As you lie here in the stillness of your room, listen to the rhythm of your own breathing, the steady rise and fall of your chest, and imagine that this rhythm is a clock, a biological metronome marking the passing of seconds, minutes, and hours. In our daily lives here on Earth, time feels like a relentless river, flowing at a constant speed, rushing us from one appointment to the next, never pausing, never waiting, always pushing forward with an urgent momentum. But Albert Einstein taught us that this is merely an illusion, for time is not a fixed and rigid ruler, but a flexible, fluid thing that can be bent, stretched, and slowed down by the presence of massive objects. This phenomenon is called gravitational time dilation,
a scientific term that sounds complex but is actually the most soothing concept in the universe, for it suggests that there is a place where the rushing river of time slows into a calm, glass-like lake. Imagine now that you are drifting closer and closer to the event horizon of a black hole, carrying with you a large, glowing clock with a second hand that ticks with a comforting mechanical sound. As you are far away in the open vacuum of space, the clock ticks normally, tick, tock, tick, tock, matching the beat of your heart. But as you glide deeper into the gravity well, as the heavy hand of the black hole's mass begins to pull on the fabric of spacetime, something magical begins to happen to the mechanism of the clock. The gravity pulls on time just as it pulls on your body, dragging on the seconds, making them heavier, making them thicker like honey dripping slowly from a spoon. Watch the second hand now as you float nearer to the shadow. See how it takes a little longer to move from one mark to the next, the space between the ticks expanding, stretching out into a long, luxurious pause. Tick, and then a long silence, and then, finally, tock. To you, the traveler, everything feels normal, for your heartbeat and your thoughts are slowing down in perfect unison with the clock. But if you were to look back at the distant universe, back at the Earth spinning frantically on its axis, you would see the galaxy whirling in fast motion, civilizations rising and falling in the blink of an eye, stars being born and dying in seconds. You have entered a realm of slow time, a sanctuary where the laws of physics grant you the gift of eternity in a single moment. This is the ultimate relaxation, the realization that the closer you get to the center of the mystery, the less time matters, until the concept of being late or running out of time becomes completely meaningless.
Imagine that the gravity is a thick, warm blanket wrapping around the concept of time, muffling its passage, softening its edges, until the sharp ticking of the clock fades into a smooth, continuous hum. Scientists tell us that at the very edge of the event horizon, from the perspective of an outside observer, time actually stands still. It freezes completely, creating an illusion where an object falling in never actually disappears, but simply fades away, suspended forever on the brink of the abyss. This is why early Russian physicists called black holes frozen stars, because they appeared to preserve moments in amber, holding them still against the rush of the cosmos. Let this image of the frozen star seep into your mind, the idea of a sunset that never ends, a note of music that sustains forever, a sleep that has no alarm clock to interrupt it. As you visualize this, feel the time in your own room beginning to dilate, the urgency of tomorrow melting away, the memories of yesterday fading into the distance, leaving you in this expanded, elongated present. The stress of the modern world is driven by the clock, by the demand to be somewhere, to do something. But here, in the gravity of the black hole, there is nowhere to go because you are already everywhere, and there is nothing to do because time has stopped. You are floating in a bubble of timelessness, a relativistic lullaby that slows your brain waves down, moving you from the beta waves of wakefulness into the deep, slow delta waves of slumber. The heavy gravity acts as a brake on the universe, slowing the vibrations of the atoms in your body, slowing the firing of the neurons in your mind, until everything reaches a state of near-zero motion, a state of perfect peace. It is said that if you could spend an hour near the event horizon of a supermassive black hole and then return to Earth, years or even decades would have passed for everyone else. And while this sounds like science fiction, it is a proven fact of nature, verified by the clocks on our GPS satellites, which tick slightly faster than the clocks on the ground. But for you, the sleeper, this dilation is a way to escape the world,
a way to step out of the current of history and rest on the riverbank. Imagine that every breath you take now lasts for 100 years in the outside world, that every time you close your eyes, an age of the universe passes by, leaving you untouched, unbothered, and safe. The illusion of eternity is not a trick, it is a perspective, a way of seeing the world through the lens of gravity, where the heavy things, the important things, move the slowest. The black hole is the master of patience. It can wait for billions of years for a star to fall in. It is in no rush, and neither are you.
The stretching of time feels like a physical sensation, a loosening of the tightness in your chest, a relaxation of the jaw, as if the very atoms of your body are being given permission to take their time. There is no deadline here, no schedule to keep, only the infinite stretch of the now. As you drift deeper into this distortion, notice how the light from the outside universe shifts to red, a phenomenon called gravitational redshift, where the light waves themselves are stretched out by the gravity, losing their energy, becoming soft, dim, and warm. The bright white light of the stars becomes a deep, soothing crimson, then a dull ember glow, and finally a radio whisper, fading into the background noise of your dreams. You are entering the slow zone, the quiet zone, where the universe holds its breath. This is where time goes to sleep, where the seconds are so long that they feel like lifetimes, where the moments are so spacious that you can float inside them. Let the feeling of time dilation wash over you, dissolving the rigid structures of your day, melting the hours into a pool of tranquility. You are no longer bound by the clock on the wall. You are moving by the time of the black hole, a time that is measured in eons, not minutes. The illusion of eternity is wrapping around you, comforting you with the knowledge that there is enough time for everything, that you can rest for as long as you need, that the universe will wait for you. The tick-tock of the clock has slowed to a stop. The hands are frozen. The pendulum hangs motionless in the air. And in this silence, in this cessation of time, you find the freedom to let go completely. You are suspended in the amber of gravity, preserved in a state of deep rest, watching the river of time flow around you, untouching, unmoving, perfectly still. This is the gift of the dark star, the ability to stop the world and get off, to find a hidden pocket of space-time where the noise cannot reach you and where the only thing that exists is the peaceful, timeless, and heavy sleep that is now claiming you, drifting you further and further into the illusion of eternity, where everything is calm, everything is slow, and everything is silent. We now gently drift back from the edge of time to the solid ground of our own planet, returning to a very specific moment in our shared history, the month of April in the year 2019, a time when humanity collectively paused to witness something truly miraculous. For decades, the black hole was a creature of pure mathematics, a ghost that lived in the equations of Einstein and the imagination of artists. But we had never actually seen one, for they are by their very nature invisible, swallowing the light that would otherwise reveal their shape. But humans are dreamers, and we are persistent, and so a group of astronomers embarked on a daring quest to turn the entire Earth into a single giant eye, an instrument known as the Event Horizon Telescope. Imagine the stillness of the high mountains where these telescopes live, far above the clouds, where the air is thin and cold, and the sky is a crystal-clear dome of infinite depth.
To capture the image of a black hole, we needed a telescope the size of our entire planet. And since we could not build such a thing, we did the next best thing. We connected radio dishes across the globe, linking them together in a symphony of synchronization. Picture the locations, each one a lonely outpost of science in a beautiful, desolate landscape. From the volcanic peak of Mauna Kea in Hawaii, where the tropical stars burn bright, to the frozen, wind-swept ice fields of the South Pole in Antarctica, where the sun circles the horizon without setting. From the dusty red deserts of the Atacama in Chile to the high Sierras of Spain and the mountains of Arizona, these dishes turned their great white faces toward the sky, waiting for the signal. It was a global effort, a moment where boundaries and borders dissolved, and scientists from every corner of the world worked as one, united by the desire to see the unseeable. The target of this grand observation was not the black hole in our own backyard, but a monster far, far away, located in the heart of the giant elliptical galaxy Messier 87, or M87, nestled in the constellation of Virgo some 55 million light-years from where you lie tonight. This black hole is a true giant, 1,000 times more massive than our own Sagittarius A star, a colossus that dominates its cluster of galaxies. The process of capturing this image was slow and deliberate, a perfect antidote to the rush of modern life, for the telescopes had to record the faint radio waves coming from the glowing gas surrounding the black hole, waves that had traveled across the cosmos for millions of years just to land on our detectors. To combine the data, the scientists used atomic clocks, the most precise timekeepers in existence, ensuring that every dish recorded the signal at the exact same nanosecond, creating a heartbeat of precision that spanned the globe.
The amount of data collected was so vast, so incredibly heavy with information, that it could not be sent over the internet. Instead, it had to be stored on hundreds of hard drives, physical boxes of memory that were flown on airplanes from the remote corners of the Earth to central supercomputers in Massachusetts and Germany. There is something deeply comforting about this physical journey of knowledge, the idea of crates of hard drives traveling across the oceans, carried by the slow and steady logistics of human travel, waiting months for the Antarctic winter to end so the planes could land. Then came the waiting, the long, quiet months of processing, where algorithms sifted through the noise, cleaning the image, refining the data, looking for the needle in the haystack. It was like developing a photograph in a darkroom, watching the image slowly appear on the paper in the tray of chemicals, waiting for the shapes to resolve. And finally, on that spring day in 2019, the world saw it. Imagine a screen fading from black to reveal a glowing, blurry ring of amber light, a perfect circle of orange fire set against the absolute darkness of space. This was not a simulation. This was not a drawing. This was the real thing, the first portrait of a black hole. The image shows the shadow of the black hole, the silhouette of the event horizon we visited earlier, surrounded by the accretion disk, a swirling carousel of superheated plasma that glows with the warmth of 1 billion suns. The bottom of the ring is brighter than the top, a result of the gas moving towards us at nearly the speed of light, a detail that confirms our understanding of gravity and motion. But look beyond the physics and see the beauty of the image, the soft, fuzzy quality of the ring, which makes it feel dreamlike and ethereal, like a distant lantern in a foggy night. It looks like a portal, a gateway to another dimension, or perhaps a golden eye staring back at us from the deep past. The orange color is a choice by the scientists to represent the intensity of the radio waves, but it feels warm and inviting, like the embers of a dying fire or the rim of the sun during a solar eclipse.
This is the unblinking eye of the cosmos, a structure that has existed for eons, watching galaxies collide and stars be born, remaining constant and unmoving while the universe changes around it. There is a profound peace in staring at this image, in realizing that we are looking at a void that is larger than our entire solar system, a darkness that commands the loyalty of billions of stars. The donut of doom, as some affectionately called it, is actually a mandala of gravity, a perfect circle created by the bending of light.
A shape that signifies wholeness and eternity. As you visualize this glowing ring in your mind, let it become a focal point for your relaxation, a hypnotic circle of light that draws your attention away from the worries of the day and pulls you into its calm center. The black hole in M87 is a silent giant. It does not roar, it does not scream, it simply exists, holding its galaxy together with a firm and heavy hand. The capturing of this image was a triumph of human cooperation, a reminder that when we work together, we can see the invisible, we can touch the impossible. It is a lullaby sung by radio telescopes, a melody of data that was harmonized into a picture, proving once and for all that Einstein was right, that the universe follows the rules of curvature and light. The glowing ring is a nightlight for the world, a reassurance that reality is real, that the math works, and that there are wonders waiting to be found if we only have the patience to look. You can rest now, knowing that the eye is open so you can close yours, that the telescopes are watching the sky so you can sleep. The image of the black hole is burned into our history, a testament to our curiosity. But tonight, it is just a beautiful shape, a warm orange halo floating in the velvet dark, promising that even in the deepest shadows, there is light to be found. Let the fuzzy, soft edges of the ring blur into your dreams. Let the darkness in the center become the darkness of your sleep, deep, rich, and full of potential. We have seen the face of the abyss, and it is not scary. It is beautiful. It is round. It is complete. The hard drives have spun down, the planes have landed, the press conferences are over, and all that remains is the silent, glowing truth of the universe. The unblinking eye watches over the Virgo cluster, 55 million light-years away, a silent sentinel in the cosmic ocean, while you drift safely here on Earth, lulled by the knowledge that we have seen the dark, and the dark is simply a place where the light rests.
Close your eyes and let the darkness behind your eyelids become a vast and welcoming space where the laws of physics and the weight of the world simply fade away into the velvet night. You are no longer just lying in a bed within a room, but floating in the center of your own personal universe, where the gravity of sleep is beginning to pull you inward with a gentle and irresistible force. Feel the weight of your body sinking down into the mattress, as if the earth itself is hugging you close, holding you safe, and anchoring you against the drift of the cosmos. The day is done, the tasks are finished, and all the scattered energy of your thoughts is now being called home, pulled by the gravity of a great and peaceful center deep within your mind. Imagine for a moment that you are an explorer at the edge of space, looking out at the glittering lights of stars that represent your memories and your worries. But they are far away now, distant points of light that cannot touch you here. You are drifting toward the event horizon of a beautiful and silent singularity, a point of infinite peace where time slows down until it stops completely. Listen to the rhythm of your breathing, in and out, slow and steady, like the tidal forces of a dark nebula pulsing in the deep void.
With every exhale, you are releasing the pressure of existence, shedding the layers of who you are and what you need to do, becoming lighter and heavier at the same time. The concept of the singularity is a place where density becomes infinite, where everything that ever was is compressed into a single point of absolute unity. And tonight, that singularity is sleep. You are drifting closer to that center now. Watch as the stars around you begin to stretch, not in a scary way, but like streaks of soft light painting the darkness, blurring the lines between awake and asleep, between you and the universe. The noise of the outside world is bending away from you, distorted by the immense gravity of silence that surrounds you. There is no sound here in the vacuum of deep rest, only a profound stillness that wraps around your consciousness like a thick, warm blanket of antimatter. You feel the muscles in your toes relax, the tension evaporating into the void. The relaxation travels up through your legs, heavy and warm, moving past your knees and into your hips, grounding you, pulling you deeper into the center. Your spine softens, each vertebra decompressing as the gravity of the singularity does its work, aligning you with the geometry of peace.
Your shoulders drop, releasing the burdens they have carried, letting them float away like space dust caught in a solar wind. Your arms are heavy. Your hands are open and loose, resting in the zero-gravity comfort of the present moment. Even the muscles in your face are smoothing out, the space between your eyebrows widening as the event horizon approaches. You are crossing the threshold now, the point of no return, where wakefulness can no longer hold you. Here, the laws of time do not apply. A second can stretch into an eternity of comfort. You are moving deeper into the funnel of the night, spiraling gently down toward that single point of perfect rest. Everything is merging. The separation between your skin and the air is fading. The distinction between your mind and the dark silence is dissolving. You are not looking at the universe anymore, because you are becoming the universe. All the matter, all the energy, all the thoughts are compressing, getting smaller and tighter, condensing into a tiny, infinitely heavy, infinitely peaceful diamond of consciousness. This is the singularity of sleep. It is a place of infinite density where no light escapes. And because no light escapes, there is no need to see, no need to watch, no need to be alert. It is safe here in the crushing weight of comfort. You feel a sense of oneness, a total integration with the fabric of the night. There is no past here, for the gravity is too strong for the past to exist. There is no future here, for time has curved in on itself, creating a loop of eternal now. There is only this moment, this breath, this sinking sensation. You are falling, but there is no bottom, just an endless drift into soft, velvet layers of quiet. The silence is not empty, it is full. It is dense with potential, dense with the restorative power that will rebuild you while you drift. You are moving past the speed of light now, traveling inward, deeper than dreams, deeper than the subconscious, into the very core of being.
The light of the world streaks behind you and vanishes. You are alone in the most beautiful way possible, embraced by the singularity. You are a single point of awareness floating in a sea of tranquility. The heavy blanket of gravity is tucking you in. Your heartbeat is the slow, rhythmic rotation of a pulsar, steady and calm, slowing down, slowing down.
The thoughts that try to follow you here are crushed by the peaceful pressure, turned into stardust, scattering into nothingness before they can reach you. You are protected by the physics of sleep. Nothing can disturb this density. It is too thick, too deep, too absolute. You are merging with the source of all quiet. You are becoming the silence. You are the stillness. You are the void. Every cell in your body is vibrating at the frequency of deep rest, aligning with the core of the singularity. It feels so good to let go, to surrender to the pull, to stop fighting the gravity and just let it take you. Down, down, down into the warm, dark heart of the cosmos. There is no you anymore, just a point of peaceful existence. You are infinite. You are dense with calm. You are everything and nothing. The silence is a physical weight pressing gently on your eyelids, sealing them shut with the kiss of the cosmos. You are drifting into the final stage now. The merge is almost complete. The event horizon is behind you. You are in the singularity. It is a place of perfect balance, absolute stillness, infinite peace. Sleep is not an absence of waking, it is the presence of the infinite. Rest now in this density. Rest now in this oneness. There is nothing left to do. There is nowhere left to go. You have arrived at the center. You are the center. You are the peace. You are the sleep. And in this infinite density, in this final singularity, you fade into the absolute silence of the night, drifting, drifting, drifting.